I am Eric Reed. I'm a horn player and teacher. I live in New York, and I play with the American Brass Quintet, the Orpheus Chamber Orchestra, as well as the Orchestra of St. Luke's. The most interesting aspect of the horn for me is the physics. Like the fact that I can buzz a note and then put that buzz into this amazing, like, spaghetti bowl of tubing, and then it comes out as this beautiful sound. It's like, it's crazy, actually. And to all the makers that build these horns and craft them, and you know, the bends of the tubes and the way that the horn is constructed and the different wraps, I find that totally interesting, totally fascinating, even though I honestly don't understand it.
저는 서울대학교 3학년 재학 중인 호른 전공 황혜리입니다. 제가 오늘 연주할 곡은 모차르트 콘체르토 4번 1악장입니다. 제가 이 곡을 선택한 이유는 무슨 곡을 받아야 하나 정말 고민을 많이 했는데요. 호른 연주자들이라면 한 번씩은 모두도 연주를 해봤을 모차르트, 슈트라우스 곡들을 받으려고 고민을 하다가 이제 모차르트 4번 1악장으로 선정하게 되었습니다. 모차르트 2번 연주하는 영상을 봤는데 이렇게 되게 음악이 정체돼 있지 않고 되게 물 흐르듯이 이렇게 진행하는 그런 게 되게 인상 깊었고, 오늘도 같은 모차르트 작품을 하니까 많이 배우고 싶습니다. 제가 미스톤이 굉장히 많은 편인데요. 그래서 항상 연주를 할 때 오늘은 미스톤 내지 말아야지 이렇게 생각을 많이 하는데, 이제 많은 선생님들께 배울수록 느끼는 점이 이제 미스톤에 연연하기보다는 좀 더 노래를 해야지, 아니면 호흡이 뜨지 않게 아래로 내리면서 쭉쭉 뻗어 나가야지, 혹은 발음을 좀 더 또박또박 하면서 해야지 라는 게 중점으로 레슨을 많이 받았었고, 오늘도 그런 내용들로 레슨을 받아보고 싶습니다.
Nice job. Really great. Beautiful. A lot of good things. So one thing I wanted to ask is about the accompaniment. So everything that the orchestra is playing. Maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, how loud is that in your mind?
7.
7? Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So I think it could always be more, especially when it comes to the rests, you know, in between phrases that you're playing. You need to not only count the right number of beats, but to stay in the style, to stay in the music, even when you're not playing. So a good way to practice that, or maybe a number of good ways, are to play along with recording. Of course, listening to those recordings and really getting to know those other parts. As far as maximizing the effectiveness of online music classes, I think there's really no limit to the amount of inspiration that you can get from an online class. And I think we're living in sort of the golden age of online content. So I think to maximize the effectiveness would be to just experience as many of those kinds of classes as possible, to get as many different opinions and to draw as much inspiration as possible. So I always encourage my students to like watch not just one video or one opinion, to see what multiple teachers think, just like you would see a doctor and then get a second and a third opinion. It's sort of the same for us, especially now with so much content available. Recently, I just did an arrangement of this first movement for two horns. And it's really interesting because now that I took, you have the solo part, and then I took the other parts and I had to make them into one single line. Now I hear them even more clearly when I hear you play. So, but if you're not hearing them, then music is lost. So let's just play a little bit more. Let's do it again, and I'll help you out a little bit. And so I want you to really feel the spirit of the music, even when you're not playing.
Okay.
Nice. So that feels a lot different, right?
Oh, yeah.
It felt like we were sort of collaborating, right? We were making music together. And I was singing a bunch of wrong notes, and sometimes I forgot how it went. But I was helpful, right? It's helpful to have that. So of course, it's easy with me, but you can have that if it's turned up to 11. I asked you 1 to 10, and you said 7. You turn it up to 11. It's nice when you have me, but you could do it without me.
Okay.
Yeah. So another thing I want to talk about is the style of Mozart. What is the style of Mozart? How would you describe that?
Very bright
Okay.
and a little bit crazy.
Okay. I like that. I ask that question a lot, and bright is an answer that I've gotten, but I've never heard crazy. I like that. Teaching each student in a way that shows that I care about them as an individual, not just as a student that's just the same as all the other students. I like to teach my students as the individuals that they are. What about in this piece? What's crazy in the piece? How can we make it sound more crazy?
좀 더 제가 모차르트에 이입해서
actors, their job is to play a role, right? They play a character. And it's a different character maybe in each show or movie that they act in. But their job is the same, is to play this character, to play as many different roles as possible, right? Yeah. So I'm leading you back to this idea that there's some craziness written into the music and into almost every piece. And the way that we're going to show that is by making a lot of contrast, dynamics, and motion, direction. These things can make it sound more crazy. So let's try that, and then I want to try something else. Okay? Okay. Let's try that. So from the beginning again, and trying to show as much contrast as possible. It's like different characters speaking to each other, and then laughing, and then maybe crying or whatever. You know?
Okay.
Different characters. Okay, great. Yeah, so right away I heard a difference in how you articulated. It had a lot more spirit and a lot more sparkle, and so that was great. So another way that we can think about it, if we're using the word crazy as our adjective, and I like that because, like I said, I haven't heard that before. So if we're using crazy, this is another way to get into the character and into the feeling of the piece. I want you to think about something in your life, someone or something that you know or that you've experienced that you would describe as crazy. Do you have something in mind? It could be a person or an experience that you had or a place that you've been.
Joker.
Okay, good. So that's interesting. We're going to use that. So you have that character inside of you. Can you think of a time that you have done something crazy? When that character showed itself, can you feel what that feels like? Can you imagine what that feels like when you feel hype? So close your eyes and imagine yourself very hyper, where this Joker quality is coming out. Can you feel something different?
Okay.
You can imagine this?
Yep.
All right, you need to feel it, right? You need to feel that. Okay, and then we'll start at the whole notes. Okay, but keep that feeling. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Immediately you started thinking about horn. I have to play this note. Oh, that note didn't sound as good as I wanted. All right, so do it again. You are the Joker. Okay, and then start again. Forget about the horn. Yeah, so that's good. This is good. You forgot completely about the horn. That's good. Do it again. I like that. I like that. Very confident start. You started very confident. Good. So this is, again, showing a lot of personality, showing a part of you that is personal and really interesting to the people that are listening. So that's a lot better. That's really good. Yeah. Any questions about that?
이 부분 이후에 되게 마이너틱한 부분은 어떻게 정리를 하시는지.
Well, we would do the same thing. All right, so you, if you're telling a story, maybe about yourself as a crazy person. Maybe in this moment you're doing something else, right? The story changes. You're in a different area of the story, or maybe you are at the beginning you're feeling crazy and daring, and you're in a fun neighborhood. You're in Hongdae or whatever, right? But then you turn the corner and you're in a different place. You're in an alleyway that's maybe a little scary or something. So it's really just about being creative in your mind and thinking about the story that you want to tell. And then beyond that, it's about feeling that story, feeling what it's like to make a wrong turn and being in a dark alley instead. Do you want to play that? Let's play the next section, yeah? So this is the next, the dark alley section, right? That's okay. Yeah, so it's good. No, it was really, really great. It was great. But then you get to this point. Bom, beam, bom, bee, orira. And maybe you found your way, right? You were lost for a moment and seeking and not sure. But then, bee, da, da, I know where I am again.
Okay.
Do you want to start right there? Beam, bom. Great. So anytime we're playing anything, you can do this, right? Just constantly changing the feel and the character, and that's what makes it sound interesting and engaging, and what makes the audience feel like, oh yeah, we're having an experience here, and they're feeling something too. Okay, good. Great. Let's see, anything else? Any questions?
오늘처럼 이렇게 많은 사람들 앞에서 되게 떨릴 때 마인드 컨트롤을 어떻게 하시는지.
This is a big question, right? How do you control your mind when you feel nervous? Well, I think that the stuff that we've been working on, all of these creative feelings, that's a great way to control your mind. And you saw the evidence even just now. Like those moments where things didn't really happen the way that you wanted them to, like those moments you were really focused on playing horn, right? It's very technical. But when you could let go and just have fun and be creative, you found yourself in the right brain, right? In the creative side, as opposed to the left brain, which is very analytical and technical. The right brain, when you're creative, you're just having fun and you're not thinking about whether you're nervous, right? You're just playing, and that's what we want, is to be just playing.
Okay.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
Very nice.
Cool.
되게 색다르게 진짜 너무 많이 배웠고 그 캐릭터에 완전 연기하듯이 이입해서는 뭔가 알고 있었던 사실이어도 뭔가 옆에서 이렇게 말씀해 주시니까 좀 더 와닿고 오케스트라 연주를 생각하라는 것도 뭔가 익히 너무 이 곡을 오래 했었으니까 알고는 있었지만 오늘 한 번 더 되게 그 중요성을 깨닫는 시간이었고 뭔가 모차르트뿐만이 아니라 모든 곡을 이렇게 임해야 되는구나를 다시 한 번 더 느꼈던 좋은 시간이었습니다.
안녕하세요. 저는 서울예술고등학교 1학년에 재학 중인 원예빈이라고 합니다. 리하르트 스트라우스의 호른 콘체르트 1번 1악장이고요. 왜 그 곡을 선택했냐면 제가 현재 연습하고 있는 곡이기도 하고 호른 하는 사람들이 많이 하는 곡들이기도 하고 이 곡이 까다로워가지고 그 곡을 한번 레슨 받으면 좋겠다 해서 골랐습니다. 호른은 힘있고 남성적인 소리도 낼 수 있지만 여성적인 소리도 낼 수 있어서 그게 좀 매력이라고 생각해요. 더 몸에 힘을 빼고 연주할 수 있는 그런 방법이랑 더 풍성한 음악을 배우고 싶어요.
All right, good job. It's really great. What do you do when you feel nervous?
음악에 더 집중하려고 노력하고 있어요.
That's good. That's a really good strategy. What does that mean to you, though? What do you mean, focus on the music?
떨리는 거에 신경 안 쓰려고 되도록 노력하고 있고 음악에 더 집중해서 부르려고.
Okay, that's very different. That's different. Trying to avoid the nervousness is very different from trying to focus on the music. So we could talk about avoiding the feeling, but tell me what you mean by focusing on the music. What do you mean?
내가 부는 거에 온 신경을 다 쓰는 것 같아요.
I will just, I'll say it for you. That means like focusing on the notes and focusing on the dynamics and focusing on just actually executing the music, right? That's good. And I'm going to give you another option. But first, I want to talk about avoiding the nervous feelings. Sorry to tell you, our brain is very simple. It's complicated, but there are certain things about the brain that are very very simple. When the brain hears the word nervous, responds by feeling nervous. So even if you say, don't be nervous, all the brain hears is nervous. That's why it's hard to eliminate bad habits. Stop being nervous, which doesn't work anyway. Instead, we replace that thought with something else, something musical. So getting back to the music and how do we focus on the music, I think the best way to focus on the music and distract ourselves from the fact that we might be nervous is to try to say something, right? To tell a story with what we're playing. In the first line, we have this fanfare. Bum, ba-bee. What is happening? What is this story about, the beginning?
남자가 갑자기 딴따단 이러고 소리치는.
If this man is our main character, let's imagine that he is coming onto the stage. Okay, we can think of every piece as like a play or a movie on a screen, and the beginning of the movie is this man coming onto the stage for the first time. Can you be that character? Imagine that, okay? Use your imagination. Be that character. Play the beginning. Nice, really good. It's not a namja, it's a yoja. It's you. You understand? Yeah. So it's you are that main character, right? You come out and you are confident. I think this is better. So can you think of a moment for you, an experience that you've had, or a person that you know, where you feel really confident and strong? So close your eyes and imagine yourself in this situation or with this person, and then play the beginning again. Yeah, that's so good, right? So you felt it in yourself and it was personal and it's about you. That's so important. And it's such a great way to bring this kind of character. So we can continue in this way. So you've now entered the stage. You're in the movie or on the screen. The next music. What's happening there in our story? What is this part about?
남자가 걸어다니면서 노래하는 거.
Where are you walking?
숲속?
Great. Perfect. Awesome. Can you imagine that? Have you been to the forest? Yeah. So you can imagine that, right? So go there. Good job. And it's okay. It's okay if you miss a note. Not a big deal. You were in the forest. You were walking and singing, and it was beautiful. Yeah, you seemed more relaxed, and that's the point. You didn't seem nervous, and that's what we're talking about, is, again, replacing our focus from how nervous we feel or how uncomfortable we feel to focusing on the music. This is a great way to focus on the music in a way that is full of style and full of character. So I want to talk about something technical, because what we've been talking about is very creative and kind of imagination. So the way that we play a line is we start and then we go to somewhere else. But if we make a bunch of stops in the middle, then the long line is lost. So in music, the way that we make those little stops can be in the shape of each note. So in this music, when we have these quarter notes right here, if we get stuck on any of those notes, then that destroys the line. So what you're doing a little bit is like a little swell on each note. So we should always be thinking about the long line, okay, and not chewing these notes. So let's try that. It's really great. It was much better. Those quarter notes were less vertical and much more horizontal. It was really good. So for the high note, it's very common to try to get the high note, and then we let up, and we miss the note after. So think. Go to the note after. Okay. So let's go from the second one. Good, great, much better. So now we need more story for the next part. What's happening here? Same thing? Are you still walking in the forest singing? Or is it different?
여기서는 좀 숨 죽이듯이.
Okay, so it's a little more shy. Yeah, good. So keep going. Yeah. So and feel a little bit like, oh, maybe you don't know the way at the moment, right? Or maybe it's really cloudy suddenly, or it's very shady or something. Great, nice ending. It's really nice. So it starts out maybe a little shy, but then it grows. Maybe you find your way. You're like, oh yeah, I know where I am. I want to go shift to the technical again, because I feel like sometimes you lose the time. Do you practice with a metronome? No? I wonder why. Yeah. No, it's good. It's okay. So this gives us a lot to talk about. I'm just going to use my phone, because anyone with a phone also has a metronome. So does this sound like your tempo? It's a little too slow, right? Is that okay? No? Faster? And we're going to do a little experiment. I want you to start just like this, okay? Go ahead. Good. How's that feel?
좀 급하게 따라가려는 것 같았어요.
Okay, so maybe it's a little bit too fast. So we're going to change it. This will be 120. How's that? Better? It's okay? Cool. Let me ask you a question. Is this piece, it's in common time, but is it in 4 or is it in 2?
두 박자.
2? Yeah, you think it's in 2? I think it's in 2. I think you're right. So what we're going to do is instead of being at 120, we're going to change that. We're going to go to 60. Okay, I'll try it again. Okay, how does that feel compared with the previous way?
이게 더 편하게 연주할 수 있는 거.
Maybe you felt a little bit less dragged along. There's a little bit more freedom to think about playing and to think about music. Yeah, so that's a nice strategy. Instead of having every beat, to spread it out so that there is a little bit more space for freedom, but also you are still in time. You're still playing with good time and in the correct feel, which I think is a 2 feel. We agree on that. So you can go even farther and you can put it on just one beat per bar. You could do that. You can play around and experiment using the metronome to increase your feeling of good time. And so we're going to do one way now. One of my favorite ways to use the metronome is to, instead of having it on 1 and 3, or to move it over and so that the click is on 2 and on 4. The hardest part is getting started, so I'll help. And then I'll ask you how that feels. And it should feel a lot different, but you can do it. Okay, so this is on 2 and 4. It's going to feel different. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Wow, have you done that before? Never? Wow, that's amazing. It's usually a lot harder to do the first time, but you did a great job. The real way that this should feel is that you are in charge of the time, that you decide where 1 is, instead of being pulled along like click, 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 where you're following the click. You decide where 1 is, and then the click says, yep, like 1, yep, 3, yep, right? So it's more empowering, more confidence. So let's get back to our story. The next section is very different. What's happening in the story?
여기서도 갑자기 남자가 팡 하고 소리치는 것 같아요.
So can this man, can it not be the namja? Can it be yoja? Can it be you? Yeah? Can you remember what it feels like to be angry? Let's do it one more time. I don't think you really felt angry. Good, nice. We'll come back to that in this next section, but I have to say that was very convincing. That angry playing really made me understand how you were feeling. So, so then immediately, it changes again, right? So our character is doing something else. Our character, you. I encourage you to stay in the lead role of your own story. If we're still in the forest, let's say, you were singing in the forest at the beginning, and then something occurred to you that made you angry. And so you're angry for a moment, but then, maybe it's not so bad. There's something new here. Sometimes when I get angry, and then I say or do something because I'm angry, like the next moment I realize, oh, well, that was pretty silly. Why did I do that? Right? You kind of laugh at myself. So let's start there again, angry, and then we're going to keep going and stay in that main character role. Sing. Good. So where does the character change again? You're out in the forest, you're singing along, and then you feel angry, and then you laugh at yourself, oh, it's not so big a deal. And then, what is this? What's happening?
호기심.
Curious about maybe an animal that you see? The first thing that comes to my mind is like a rabbit or a frog or something. Yeah, kikuri. When it, because it's kind of bouncy all of a sudden. The character changes right there, maybe because you're curious about some sort of animal, maybe a rabbit or a frog, something bouncy. Start the second time, that one. Nice. I'm sorry to stop you, because that sounds very much like a frog or a rabbit. It has a great quality, the great character change right there. Yeah, it sounds like you're really curious about it. But I have to say, I think that these notes are too short. I think it can still be bouncy, without being because when you play that short, you cut off the sound. I think it could be bouncy and not so short, and the result will be that you have more tone. And also, it'll have a longer line, because just like when we swell on yeah, 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 it makes it vertical like this. So can we play more connected? Yum, ba 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 beep, ba 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 bum, ba 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 beep, ba 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 bum. Yeah, can you try that? Good. Yeah, I think it could still be longer. Ho 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 ho, like laughing almost, and less like dots, right? So I think brass players in general, when we see dots, we think with our tongue, but you don't need to tongue more. Nice. Keep going. For one. Two, three, four, one. Nice. So great. That's so great. Yeah, so we worked on so many different things, from telling this story and making it personal to the technical things like playing with a longer line and playing with a little bit more full short notes. And I think it's much, much better now. I really, really like it. So keep working on it, all of these things, and you're going to be great. You are great. You sound awesome.
되게 섬세하고 전문적이게 가르쳐 주셔서 너무 영광이에요.
I think it's important to remember to stay humble, that we are musicians, we're artists, we're stewards of an art form that is communicated by composers, by other artists, and that we are merely carrying this tradition forward. It's not about us. It's not about, you know, how we compare to other people. It's about carrying it forward and inspiring future generations to continue that process. So staying humble and staying true and staying focused on the craft and on this art form, which we're so lucky to play. We're so lucky to do, I should say. Yeah, having fun with it also, because it's music. It's imperfect and it's creative and it's all very different. There's so much room for creativity, but also for error and for experimentation. So I would say keeping that humility and that humor and not taking ourselves too seriously.